The Youth Corner. Let's vibe to the rhythm of life. The Youth Corner. Let's vibe to the rhythm of life. Oh. The Youth Corner. Let's vibe to the rhythm of life.
Hello, thanks for tuning in. You're watching the Youth Corner live on Rockforson TV. My name is Marcia, your host for today. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe on Facebook and YouTube. Our discussion for today is about youth and friendship, and I have some of the youth here with me today, Cassie, Emmanuel, and Danielle. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
So today we're going to be talking about friendships.
Okay.
So who is a friend?
I would say a friend is somebody that you can count on, somebody you can consider, somebody who is not also a yes man, somebody who can correct you with your wrongdoings, and someone who has the same fruits as you. Like, you know, when someone's your friend is if they produce the same fruits as you, they're generous, they're kind, and also do the same things that you do as well. So that's what I would consider a friend, someone who's there for you, someone who's not a yes man, and somebody who's caring and shares the same fruits as you.
Question, what do you mean a yes man?
Somebody who is quick to correct you, because sometimes we are not always right. So if I asked you, like, you know, hey, this happened, what do you think about it? And if they're just always on your side, then that's not good correction, because then somebody's always telling you yes. So then you never know that you're doing wrong.
Right.
So having somebody that's in your corner telling you, okay, like, you shouldn't have done that, that was wrong. Having someone corrective helps you grow as well, because you're not always right.
Right. Accountability.
The accountability,
That's important.
that's the one.
Yeah. Mr. Emmanuel, how about you?
Look, I see friendship as somebody, typically a person, other than your family member, your spouse, or your lover, who you enjoy the person's company. And then you sometimes share faith and believe with that person. You are compatible. You like everything about this person. The person also likes everything about you. That person can be called a friend. That is how I see friendship.
Miss Cassie?
I think they both said a lot that I feel very similar in belief. I feel like a friend should keep you accountable because that's what develops personal growth. I think a friend is someone you share commonalities with, similarities, but there are differences that allow you to spark personal growth, because when you guys are not completely the same, it helps you recognize your own weaknesses and allow you to grow on them. So I think a friend is someone who's there for you, not just for like sociable things like getting food or hanging out, but someone who sparks growth, personal development, and someone you can enjoy like similar interests with.
I think accountability is a very big part of friendship.
Yeah.
For me, the criteria I use to say someone is my friend is that, can this person hold me accountable?
Yeah.
Can I hold this person accountable?
Right.
Can this person lead me further to Christ? Can I do the same for this person?
Yeah.
Because nowadays it looks like, well, in high school, going back to high school, I remember they had like cliques, and it's more so, you're pretty, you look like me, so let's be friends. Yeah, there was nothing like any qualification or standard, and it was just more so, you look like me, and you don't look like me, so I'm not gonna be friends with you. Yeah. So what standards or qualifications do you guys use when it comes to choosing a friend?
I would say morals. I'm really big on morals and character, because somebody can have a good personality, but they can have a bad character. So like what they do when nobody else is watching.
Right.
So, you know, how they hold themselves, you know, how they treat people as well, because I'm really big on how you treat people. So how you treat people, your character, just having good morals. And like, if you're like a fun, personable person and like to laugh, because I like jokes all the time.
Yeah.
I think that's my like criteria for a good friend.
Definitely. That's a good one.
Yeah.
The first thing I look at is your character. Because if I see your friend I can predict who you are.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm very careful the person I call friend.
Mm,
Because the way people will see that person, that same spectacle will look at me.
right.
Yeah.
So I'll be looking at you before I choose you as a friend.
Mm,
Your value, your faith, things that you like, things you enjoy doing. I look at all these things. And then I look at compatibility. I remember I met a man. I had an encounter with this man, short period, and I was like, wow, this person can be my friend. Like we clicked,
mm,
our spirit met. You can also meet somebody, you say, oh, this person can be my friend. You have that feeling, you will sense it.
Yeah.
So I use my instincts to choose friends, and I trust my instincts.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But don't you think sometimes we judge a little too quickly?
That could be true. Sometimes our judgment might be wrong about
Right.
that person. Yeah. With time, you will know much about the person. The more you interact with this person, you know him more.
Right. So show me your friend and I'll show you your character.
Yeah.
Gotcha. But I think we look at that in a negative way,
Mm-hmm.
whereas what that statement means to people nowadays is if your friend is bad, that's the same way you're going to come out as,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
But let's reverse it.
Uh-huh.
So show me your friend and I'll show you your character. What if that friend is someone who is a positive person,
Yeah.
someone who helps you in your personal development
Mhm.
and things that you want to achieve in life,
Yeah.
right? So can we look at that from that perspective?
Yes, you can. That's what I'm saying. I look at your character.
Right.
If you are good, people will see me as a good person.
Hmm.
So we can look at it from the positive side, as we are saying.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's Cassie.
I agree with everyone. I feel like when it comes to trusting your instinct or your intuition, it's important to pray for discernment, because pray for discernment that you know who you're choosing, who you're bringing into your life, because even fox can be like in sheep's clothing. So like it's important that you pray that this person may be like good on the outside, but are they what God wants for me? When I'm looking for friends, the main thing I'm searching for is someone who can challenge me. If I know that I struggle with laziness, I need a friend who's hardworking, not someone who's going to make me comfortable in my laziness. If I know I struggle with maybe I'm negative, maybe I'm not being as optimistic as I should be, I need someone who brings in a positive character to challenge those weaknesses in me, because at the end of the day, I feel like friendships really strive for personal growth. Same with if you're finding friends through Christ, you want someone who's equally yoked, if not better than you.
Right.
If I'm struggling in my journey with Christ, I want someone who's going to hold me accountable. Someone who says things like, I'm going to pray for you, or let's go to church together, or sends me a verse, or things like that. So someone that just challenges me.
Right. And that you brought up very important, or you said something very important, is this the will of God for me in terms of choosing a friend? So in that retrospect, discernment is very important, right? But also I think that sometimes, like I said before, we may be a little too quick to judge people. So for me, I think that for someone's character to what's the right word? For me to know someone's character fully, I need to give them a chance, right? But then again, people pretend.
Exactly. Yeah.
So then in that case, what do?
I would also say, going back to Catherine's point, I want to say something like, you know how you were saying you want somebody who can push you as well, but also you need to have that stat inside of you as well as first.
Yeah.
Because sometimes our friends mirror us.
Mm,
So like who we are, but we don't know, is the friends that we gain.
Right.
So sometimes we have to have those capabilities inside of us before we like, oh, I want this person to push me to do this. But if you don't have it in you, you won't still do it if you do get that friend. Yeah.
So then at what point do you consider someone a friend? Because you know that you do attract the kind of person that you are inside.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're someone who's broken, who's not fully healed, who's wounded, you're going to attract someone who's also not healed and who's broken. And I don't know what kind of friendship that's going to be. But at what point would you consider someone a friend?
When they don't allow you to sit in your brokenness.
Hmm.
Because you said we do bond off of familiarity. I feel like familiarity builds contempt. So when you're familiar with somebody and familiar with what they're going through, you're like, oh, we should be friends because you're going through this, but I'm going through this as well. But that doesn't also make a good friendship. I think we know when someone's a good friend when they show up for you the same way you will show up for them. And that they're there for you the same way that you're going to be there for them in the long run. So when you can see that, like, okay, you're doing the same things that I would do for you, then I'll be like, okay, this is a friend. Or they're even going to that extent. It's like, okay, like this is really a friend.
Right. But don't you think that sometimes if they're going hard for you, it might be because they're wanting something from you?
Yeah. And that's what she was saying with discernment. I feel like when you have discernment, you'll know. And over time, you will see, like, they will show you who they really are. Especially if you go on a trip with them. Go to Miami. Go on a trip with them or just, like, continue to hang out with them, you know, to see what they're about. And then you just kind of start to realize. I feel like when you get older as well, you start to realize, like, who's your friends, who's associate. Like, it's okay to have associates, you know, and it's okay to not consider everybody as your friend.
Right.
I was a person that was like, oh, that's my sister. That's my sister. Then I learned very quickly that it's not my sister, you know? So, like, you just have to, as you grow and you learn, you get more discernment to see, like, what is really a friend because you see those fruits within them.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think situations reveal people's true intentions for you.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
When you can no longer provide for them and they start disappearing, then you know.
Isn't that just sad?
Very sad, yeah.
So, Mr. Manuel, at what points would you consider someone a friend?
I'll look at the compatibility.
Okay.
And I'll look at trust. Can I trust this person? It's very much important. And then can this person help me build me? Or are we going to complement each other? Is it going to help me in my weakness? Can I also help this person in a way? I look at all those things. If I see that I'm not getting anything from you, like you're not helping me in a way in my life, you're not adding any value to my life, then there's no need for me to call you as a friend.
Yeah.
At least I should get something from you.
Yeah.
Why do we keep friends? Friends should be there for each other. In time of need, when you are laughing, you should be there laughing with me. When I'm crying, you should be there crying with me. So if you are always with me when I'm happy, then you're not my friend. In hard times, I should count on you.
But what if God places you in someone's life solely to help them? They are your assignment.
Okay.
And they can't do anything for you. You are just meant to help them. Would you say, no, I don't want to be friends with this person?
That one is different.
Okay.
That person will be my friend.
Okay.
It will be from a different relationship. I'm there to help this person, but he's not my friend.
Yeah, but sometimes you don't know. Because sometimes you go there to be their friend, to gain that, like, type of relationship with them. And then they're not giving you what you wanted to be out. So then in that way, how do you decipher, like, this was my assignment versus, is this supposed to be my friend?
I think prayer, that's where prayer comes in.
Prayer comes in.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
To know if this person is my assignment or not and what I'm supposed to really do for this person. Because I believe in times and seasons.
Yes.
Right? Someone can just be in your life for a season.
Yeah.
And then they're gone.
Yeah.
Right? So in that case, when you develop a very close bond with them, and let's say something happens and, you know, the friendship is over.
Yeah.
And you're just completely broken. I'm sure all of us can relate.
Well, true friendship lasts. Yeah. I remember I had a friend, I'll call my friend. He used to visit me a lot. But it get to a point he wasn't calling me. I wasn't calling him. The friendship died off naturally.
Yeah.
So it tells me that person wasn't my friend. And I also have somebody, we were friends from kindergarten, and now we are still friends. So that person is my friend. So if the person is not your friend, it will die off naturally.
Yeah.
I feel like I've had a similar scenario where I had a friend. We basically grew up together and we did everything together. And this was the person, this was my sister. We'd gone through every stage of life together. And it was honestly just recently that our friendship had broken off and it had come to a natural end. It was just one day we stopped communicating. And I no longer, at first, out of anger, I felt like, oh, then maybe we weren't friends or I'm on to better things. And that was the mindset I had. But recently, I've been learning to think about it in terms of she served her purpose in my life and I served my purpose in hers. God had put her in my life at that time. And that friendship was important and it was meaningful. And it was a true friendship. But maybe where I'm going is not where she needs to be. And where she's going is where I don't need to be. So I can say that was my friend. But our time has come to an end. And I'm thankful for that.
Yeah,
That's true.
I agree.
I agree with
But
you.
sometimes it does come with a broken heart, though.
And it did. And it was very painful.
And for you to be able to see it from that perspective is very well, because sometimes out of anger we could be quick to be like, oh, and let's go talk about them and just start doing, doing the most, when we really should just see it from the perspective of maybe that person just served a season in my life.
And I was not perfect. I definitely was very angry and I was not letting go, but it took a lot of just prayer and healing and time and growth and growing up.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah,
growth.
just growing up.
In our generation, we're very quick to cut people off.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And
You easily move on.
yeah. And then we see them and it's you have this awkward feeling inside of you.
Hard. Yeah.
And you don't know what to do. But then sometimes though, we can gather up the courage to maybe mend friendships. But then the question then is this supposed to be something? I think that's where prayer comes in. And discernment. We're just trying to figure life out. But then also, what are some types of friendships that we have today?
Like I said earlier, one type of friendship is situational. Like you're going through this, I'm going through this, same thing, we're friends. Or like we're in the same class, we have all the same classes, we're in the same major, okay, boom, you're going to be friends with that person. But that's not the type of friend where you talk to them about your daily lives, everything that you're going through, like when you're emotional. Those are just kind of school friends. So you can have your school friends, your similarity friends, but like your true friends are the ones that you can talk to them about anything, about your whole life, what you're going through. And when you're sad, they're sad. When they're, like you said, crying, you're crying. When you're laughing. So I think there's different types of friends, but to be able to decipher them is very important, because that's when we get a broken heart. When we think like, oh, this was supposed to be my best friend. This is going to be my sister. The whole time, like you guys said, they're supposed to serve a season in your life.
Right.
So when we become too attached to the friendship and we don't realize what the friendship is, it leads to a broken heart.
But I mean, sometimes telling someone everything about you, thinking that, we're so close and this is my best friend, that could end in disaster.
Yeah.
Right? Because really, in all honesty, I don't think as human beings we can really trust each other.
Yeah.
Because even in the Bible, please correct me, Pastor, if I'm wrong.
That's true.
It says that trusting or putting a trust in man is a sin.
Yeah.
Right? I don't remember what verse or scripture that is. So to what extent can we trust somebody?
No, that's hard, because at the same time, if you don't have vulnerability in your friendships, you can't expect them to grow. Like if you are always closeted or holding things in, or you aren't open about to a certain extent, there's just no way you can foster real, genuine friendships, because your friends aren't seeing, like, they're only seeing one part of you.
Right.
Yeah.
So how could they actually be your friend if they don't know you in full? It really, again, prayer, you have to just trust to an extent that God put this person, or that this person has good intentions for you.
Right.
I want to look at this friendship between David and Jonathan. Jonathan came to the life of David to push him to his dream, to become the king of Israel. That is why their friendship was established. So some friends or some people come into our life to push us to our dream. to take us where God wants to take us to. So that is also a part, kind of a friendship. And then some friendship, we go beyond friendship to become like brothers or sisters. You don't hide anything from each other. This person I was talking about, we talk about everything in life. Everything. The darkest part of me, he knows. I also know his. So we are like very intimate. When you're looking for me, you don't find me. He's the first person you should contact. And he will definitely know my whereabouts. That is how friendship is supposed to be. The person should know you're in and out, everything about you. Yes, that's what I can say.
But so having this close friend,
Mhm.
right? And you are pouring out your heart to them.
Yes.
You are telling them everything
Yes.
possible. And you think they're telling you everything about their life, like you just mentioned. How do you know that that friend is actually being completely honest with you?
That's where trust comes in.
Right.
Yes.
But trust to what extent? Because you can't trust a man. Man will disappoint you.
Differently.
Yeah.
But I will tell you to trust the person. Take away every doubt.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I would say do it out of your own heart and not out of somebody else's heart. Like be vulnerable for yourself. And even though you might not be able to trust that other person, what you did out of the friendship, you did what you're supposed to do. You know, you were vulnerable, you were there for them, you told them how you felt. Now whatever they do with it is on them. But out of your own heart, you know what you did. And that is between whatever they do with what you told them is between them and God. Because you had a good heart while you were doing
Sure.
it.
Right.
Sure.
Right. Absolutely. And Daniel, you brought up a point. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You can even tell when your friend is lying to you.
Yeah, for sure.
And when he's trying to cover up the story, you can even
Mhm.
see that.
What are some ways or signs that
If
you
you
can use
know,
to
if you
check
truly
that?
know that person, you will know.
Yeah.
You will know that the story is being edited.
Yeah.
For sure.
And Daniel, you brought up a point earlier in regards to situational friendships, and I believe you mentioned something like in school, right? Your classmate, you're only friends with them because you're in the same class.
Yeah.
Now, is a classmate, or can your classmate become your friend? Or let me rephrase that: is a classmate a friend?
A classmate can be a friend. It depends. Like I said, it's a certain type of friendship, though. It's going to be a school friendship. It's going to be a friendship where you see each other in school. You guys talk about school. And sometimes you'll probably talk about your personal life, but that's really about it. But I feel like when they become a friend, it's like when outside of school, you guys have more to talk about than just school. And there's no awkwardness. You guys share the same strokes. I believe that some of my friends from school, I had class with them and they became like my long-term friends. So I believe they can become your long-term friends, but there's two different types of friends in schools, like your school friends and then friends that you developed from school and they became lifelong friends. So.
That is why some people have a lot of friends. They have friends at school, they have friends at church, they have friends at work. So wherever they go, they get friends there. They are the situational friends. They are not actually your friends.
Right.
It's because of the situation you find yourself or the location you find yourself, and they're looking for a companion. That's why you're taking that person as your friend. So, yeah, that person is not actually your friend. Yeah, it means when you move from that situation, that friendship will die off.
Yeah.
And I feel like friendships usually grow when they like develop naturally. So you can have situational friends become like close friends or even best friends. It's just about distinguishing or like categorizing the people in your life. Like I've had situational friends become like long-term best friends. I would consider them, you know, like lifelong partners. But then I had some situational friends. As soon as the class ends, our friendship has ended. As soon as I'm done with that job, work, our friendship has ended, and that's all it is. So I guess it just depends on who that person is, like, and where you are in your life and where you want them to be. Like, I don't know. I guess where you consider, I don't want to say like usefulness, but like, do you want to move forward with them in friendship? Are they the type of friend that you're like, they're a lot more like I met you in class or I met you at work, but you have a lot of the same morals as me. You are a really good person. Me and you have a lot of commonalities. Like I think I want to develop this friendship. So I guess it just depends on like where you're at.
Right. And Cassie, you mentioned categories. I was going to bring that up too. In categorizing people that are in your life. So in terms of like, these are my friends, these are my best friends. This is again a situational friendship. Do you guys do that? Do you categorize your friendships? Like, do you sit down? Do you sit down at a table with a pen and paper and you're like category of friends, or it's just all in your mind, or how do you go about that?
I think for me, it's all in my mind, but like because they'll show you, and some people will really show you they're only your friend because of this, and they'll show you they're not your friend outside of what the situation may be. So then you just really learn like, okay, this is my situational friend. This is my going out friend. This is my dinner friend. Like you have those categories, but then you know who's like your friend, which is like your brother, your sister, who's always there for you, no matter the circumstances. They're more than just a class friend. They're more than just we're going to go out friend. Like they show you that they're a true friend and they're going to be with you through thick and thin. So, yes.
You guys have any other contributions
regarding that? With you, definitely with the oh, this is my going out friend. Even when you're like, oh, I want to go and do something, I'm gonna call this person. That's you mentally categorizing like this friend is best for this situation. Or you're like, I'm going through the worst time. Like this is horrible. I need to call somebody. That person that you've automatically categorized them as that's my best friend. Right. You know what I mean? Like you do it mentally when you're like picking and choosing. It doesn't have to be the paper and pen, but like
yeah. Right. But on their end, or do they consider you their best friend?
It's up to them. It's up to them.
Yeah.
Right, because situations can get awkward really quickly because you're thinking this person is your best friend, and like let's say you see them and like, hey, best friend, and you kind of get like this look or this cold shoulder. How do you deal with that?
Honestly, it's hard because I feel like people, especially are like been through a lot of friendship heartbreaks. So you can tell with those people because like you'll try to be close to them. They're just like, they'll kind of be standoffish. So just learning like and developing through time, like, okay, maybe I can call this person my best friend, or maybe I can't, or just not even like, I feel like nowadays, not even just putting a title on it. Cause like you said, you don't want that heartbreak to come because then you're so super attached to this person. You're like, oh, this is my best friend. And then whole time they don't think you're their best friend.
Correct.
So it's just like taking your time with the friendship and seeing where it leads to, and then seeing the other person's fruit, seeing your fruit, and then you can call it what it is. But just take your time. Do not rush to call anybody your best friend. That's what I've learned. Don't rush to call anybody your best friend, your sister, because at the end of the day, they can turn around and be like, I don't know you.
All right.
Or treat you like they don't know you.
When it happens that way, you know that person is not your best friend. You were thinking he was, but per the person's attitude, you know this person is my best friend. So you just also withdraw.
Right.
Yeah.
I think as we get older, that terminology "best friend"
It dies.
should
go
somewhere else. It's now good friend.
Yeah, really good friend.
Yes, because best friend is like what, high school, middle school, elementary, all that stuff. But when we have situations in our friendships, right? Let's say something happens and it's not our fault. Do we then go back to mend a relationship that's not in our favor?
No.
Let it go.
Absolutely not.
Let it go.
Why not? So, for
Actually,
example,
we can give everybody the second chance.
Right.
But if you think it's not going to help you, yes, just leave it.
I agree. I think forgiveness always forgive, but that isn't a reason or an excuse for you to go over there and get yourself hurt again or get yourself like, whatever that person did to you, forgive it. And like there are like little things where you can be all like, oh, they did something like, but we can move past that because our friendship is strong enough. But if it's like horrible things or like it's hurting you or it's clearly not in your favor or like the relationship is almost parasitic, like in science where it's one is benefiting off another,
Yeah.
like it's a parasitic relationship, you don't need to stay in that. Like I don't think God even wants you to be in a relationship where they're drawing life out of you.
Yeah.
Like you should be where you're appreciated. You should have friends that put in the same efforts you do. You know what I mean? Because if that's what you're gonna do, if that's the type of heart you have, you should be with someone with a similar heart, not someone who's going to continually disappoint you or hurt you to the point now you think that's what friendship is. Because that's not what friendship is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
I don't think you should return back to anything that left you feeling worthless, unworthy, left you feeling like you are a bad person. I think anything that has left you feeling less of, you shouldn't return back to. Now, if it was a situation that was your really good friend and you still, like, it didn't end in a bad way, you both were just like, all right, it naturally cut off, and that person was like, hey, like, I miss you, like, let's rekindle, let's go out to eat. I agree. But anything that makes you feel less of, and makes you feel like you're unworthy, do not return back to that. Because in the same thing that happened once, I always say can happen again. So,
Right.
Do we have balls in the French?
Do you have
Like
what?
balls. One feeling like the balls in the friendship. Does it happen?
It shouldn't.
It should.
like a leader in the
Yeah.
friendship.
Yes.
Right. Like I'm better than you type
Oh,
of
like
thing.
in a group? Then
Like
that naturally
the
happens.
two of you.
Oh, between two people,
One
that should
one
not
must
happen.
always mellow for the other.
No.
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay.
I feel like you have something to say.
I remember some time ago we were three guys working together, and then the two guys were like they feel bossy like that. So the two were not clicking, but I was clicking with the two of them.
So they were clashing.
Yes.
Okay.
So they were always arguing,
Were you in the middle?
but I can move with this person, I can move with that person. So I realized the two they were like bosses. So two bosses cannot work together. So I think I realized that. So I was always mellowing for them. They were always taking the lead, and I followed them. I don't know if I'm making
Yeah,
sense.
that makes
Some
sense.
people have
Yeah.
stronger personalities, and
Yeah.
sometimes I feel like when I'm around people who have strong personalities, I kind of just like come down a little bit. So just to decipher, like if you like to be around people with bigger personalities, because sometimes with people with big personalities, you tend to just like calm yourself down,
Exactly.
mellow, because like they're already doing a lot. That means you don't have to do as much.
Yeah.
But this just learning how to like balance that personality type.
Yeah.
So don't let them like boss over you.
Dominate you.
Yeah, but still have that balance and let them know like I can put my foot down when I need to.
Yeah.
And with what you just mentioned, Danielle, but what if what happened between you and that friend was just, I guess, like a natural thing? Or maybe, for example, let's say you're an outgoing person, right? And the friend is the complete opposite of you. And it kind of bothers you, right? So what would you do? Because you're wanting this person to be engaging in conversations, and let's say you call and it's always like one-sided, you're always doing the talking, and they're just answering questions that you ask. And so that bothers you. And it kind of brings like a little bit of a situation. What happens then?
I feel like I've been in this situation before. I feel like I just naturally allow the friendship to die, because at the end of the day, like I can't force anybody to be somebody that they're not. Like I am naturally an outgoing person. So like being around someone who doesn't want to like answer questions, and if I bring them around like my other friends and they're just shy and quiet and like pushing everybody away, it's kind of hard for me because I don't want to push them. Like I know deep inside that they're a good person, but they don't want to show it and they're kind of afraid and they're shy. So I just will keep that friend to myself rather than just, I'll just keep them to myself. And that's just like my friend that I talk to, but I won't like make them my friend. Like those, that's like I would say we'll bring them down a level, associate, because it's like I'm talking to you, but you're not talking back to me.
Right.
So like I'll just because naturally the friendship is gonna die. We don't match, you know. Like, and I'm outgoing person. You're a very shy, natured. So it's not gonna work. It's gonna come to a point where it's just like we're at a crossroads. So yeah.
What if your friendship can change that person? It's
That
possible.
too. Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
But you continue to like, be friends with that person, like I said, and then let it naturally die. Unless they actually do want to change, then you foster that change. But if not, just be what it is.
But we can't change people though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
We can't.
Yeah.
People are naturally just gonna be themselves. And
True.
I feel like that's something that I've learned was like you can't change people. Because during friendships you just want like, oh, I just want you to do this. Like I feel like if you can, people are so comfortable within themselves, like you cannot change somebody. Like you cannot be Captain Save everybody.
Yeah.
How about you, Cassie?
I feel like I'm actually in that exact situation right now, but it's a good situation. Like one of my really close friends, she is super shy. Like this is a very quiet, mellow person, which actually is what drew me to her because I feel like I don't think I'm overtly like outgoing or extrovert. I think I'm actually quite shy myself, but I really like mellow people and I like people who are calm because I like to be in calm. Like and she told me when she first met me, like the thing that drew me to her is that I always like was open and like always talking and like this is a situational friend. But I feel like our friendship has a sort of balance because I feel like I encourage her to be more like to be louder and she encourages me to be like more mellow. And I feel like when the situation allows it, like I see her developing into a person that's a lot more confident in speaking and like I guess I push her, like not, but like I put her in situations in which it encourages her to speak. And I feel like that goes into like our friendship works because she wants to be more open and she wants to be louder. And I'm able to encourage her to do that. And she wants that personal change. Like people don't change unless they want to change, unless they're uncomfortable with who they are in themselves. And she was uncomfortable being shy. So she wants to be more open and I'm, more open. And so it works. And at the same time, like I don't always want to, you know what I mean? And she helps me like, recognize like it's not always a time to yell.
Gotcha.
There are times to relax and be calm and like I like that in our friendship. But there can be friendships where if both people are rigid in their personality, it's not gonna work.
Right.
And that's about compatibility.
So I have a question because what if not within your friendship or anything, but like what if somebody does use you to gain the personalities that you have? Because I've been in situations where somebody sees you as a really good person. They see that like, you're really motivating and they just want to be friends with you because of the fruit you or the character traits you have or the personality you have. So how do you just, like you said, we do have to pray about like, how do you just notice it and be like, okay, this is not really a good friend?
Is it parasitic? Like, is it because I think that's not necessarily a bad thing that someone sees that in you and wants to emulate it. Yeah. But is it the sort of thing where they're bringing you down?
Yeah. Not even, but like after like they gain all those personality traits and they gain all the friends that you had, they kind of just leave you alone.
No, we don't do that over here.
Yeah,
No.
like they get everything that you, because they see you and they want everything that you have.
Right.
So then once they gain all of that, they kind of just be like, forget you. Like you wasn't the one who gave them.
So they're like, it's like they're obsessed in the moment.
Yes.
Right. And then after that, they're gone. That's a bad friend.
Yeah.
Red flag.
You guys were saying we cannot change people.
Right.
But I have an experience with that.
Yeah.
I was in the school with this guy. He drinks, like he does all sorts of things. So one day I called him and I spoke to him. He's one of the people I've had impact on their life. So I spoke to him, and then he felt like this guy is also bringing something different. So we became friends. So we were talking. I was going to his house, also coming to my house. And now if you see him, he has changed totally. He has changed totally. So friendship should have impact on each other. Your life should impact. You should be able to impact something in you, in that person, and the person also has to impact something on you. So it's a two-way affair. You gain something from your friends,
Okay.
So did you change that friend through the word of God?
Yeah, that's what I can say. Yesterday I was speaking to him and he was like, he misses me, and I said, why? So he cannot pray any longer. Because sometimes we go to the field to pray with him. I didn't know he liked it. Now he's missing that. Yes. So we can change people.
Yeah. Do you have any contributions to that?
I agree. I feel like people can change on their own accordance in in regards to what you said, Danielle, about those friends who like are parasitic, and you were talking about it should be a mutual, like both impacting one another. When it comes to that, I don't even know how you navigate that situation, but I truly believe it comes down to like being okay with your intentions were pure. You know
Yeah.
what she didn't take anything from you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's nothing.
You didn't lose anything.
Yeah.
Right.
And they can try to be you as much as they want and emulate as much as they want, but they don't have the heart. Because if
Right.
they're so comfortable like dropping friends or like cheating people or like doing things, then they're missing the whole part of you, like your core, that you're a good person, that you're a follower, you're a daughter of Christ, and that's what they don't have.
Right.
And so at the end of the day, they're lost. Like,
Right, I was gonna
and
say that.
that's you.
Yeah.
You didn't lose anything.
Right.
You lost a friend.
Yeah, exactly.
If
Yeah.
anything, they're gonna remember you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at what point do we call someone not trustworthy?
They'll show you.
If you're feeling betrayal,
Yeah.
What are some like instances when a friend betrays you? There's a whole lot.
a whole lot.
I know
We'll be here for like.
Let me get my whole list.
How about-
the commonest one is revealing your secret to someone else?
Yes. Going back.
That's a
on
good
that,
one.
yeah.
And let's go ahead and talk about that next week. Let's end it right there. And that's very good. And I feel like we're going to have a lot to talk about,
Okay.
especially on that topic. So let's end that there and let's talk about that next week.
Okay.
Okay, guys, let's bring our guest into our conversation to see what he has to say. Today we have Reverend Dr. Listuel Ayinsu-Mensah on the line with us today. And we would like to hear what he has to say regarding youth and friendships. Welcome, Reverend.
Thank you, my dear. And good evening to everyone.
Good evening. So we would like your contribution on who is a friend and how do we know who the right person is for us to keep as a friend? Are there any like biblical qualifications or standards we need to look at?
Thank you so much for your question. And I would like to commend the speakers, the youth that spoke earlier on. I was actually in the background listening to your discussion, and I am very impressed by the points that you brought out. For time's sake, I would only like to mention a few things, like you have said. Who is a friend, or who will you describe as a friend? In the discussion, mention was made of David and Jonathan by one of the friends. And that was exactly what I was also thinking about when your question came through. When you read 1 Samuel chapter 18, verses 1 through 4, that is where the initial coming together of David and Jonathan occurred. And when you read the first and the third verses of 1 Samuel 18, says, when David had finished speaking to Saul, who was the king, the soul of Jonathan was bound to the soul of David, and Jonathan loved him as his own soul. The third verse says, then Jonathan made a covenant with David because he loved him as his own soul. Jonathan stripped himself of the robe that he was wearing and gave it to David. So, a friend, like you have already mentioned, is somebody who comes into your life not as a brother, it's not a relation, but you become so close, you become one, and there is that trust and faithfulness between the two of you. when you are talking about a friend. When you go through the scriptures, we have a few texts that give meaning to this. When you read Proverbs chapter 17 and verse 17, Proverbs 17 and verse 17, and I'd like to read so that we know what it is. It says, a friend loves at all times, and kinfolks are born to share adversity. A friend loves at all times, and brothers and sisters are born and bred together for adversity, things that happen. Sometimes a friend will be with you, but only for a moment. In actual fact, brothers and sisters are people that we live with all or almost all the time until we get out of the house and live on our own. We always dwell with our brothers and sisters or siblings. But it says a friend is one that you can rely on at all times. You can call a friend at night and she or he will be there for you. As it was mentioned in your discussion, someone said, getting to the end, that when you have a friend that you can rely on, it goes both ways. You gain from one another. One can depend on you, you can depend on the other. So it goes both ways. Friendship should go both ways. Someone mentioned that some friends stick to you because of situations that you are in. You are together in a team, you are together in school, you will work together with this person. Or sometimes you find yourself doing something somewhere and then this person becomes attached to you. But when that thing goes away, then the friendship also breaks down. And that is exactly what Solomon, or as the book of Proverbs is ascribed to him, wrote in chapter 19 and verse 4. Proverbs 19 verse 4 says, wealth brings many friends, but the poor are left friendless. That is situational friendships. You get this friend gets attached to you because of what you have or what the person can dwell on once they are with you. It's a situational thing. Once that thing is out, friendship is also out. That doesn't mean that is true friendship. One said, sometimes you can see yourself or one can find herself or himself being vulnerable in the friendships. That is not true friendship. True friendship is when you are there for one another. When one is hurt, both of them are hurt. When there is joy, they both rejoice together. If one seems to be the boss and the other will always be the subordinate, that is not friendship. That means one of the two has a different mindset altogether in whatever is going on. As I said, in Matthew chapter 10, in Jesus' own teaching with the disciples, when he was sending them out into the community with the message, he gave them words or a word of caution that I always like to refer to when talking with people, working among people. In Matthew chapter 10 and verse 16, Jesus was sending the disciples out. And the message he gave to them as a caution was this. Matthew chapter 10 and verse 16 says, see, I am sending you out like sheep into the midst of wolves. So be wise as serpents and innocent as doves. When we are talking about friendships, We make friends out of people. So when we are going into any community or any group of people with an intention, or when the opportunity strikes that we can make friends, we should be wise. We should open our eyes. We should truly navigate our way and also assess the situation as the attachment is being drawn for friendship. Is this person really true? How can I know that? You did mention prayer. You ask God. Prayer has so many dimensions. It's not the time that Jesus said to the people, when you want to pray, go into your chamber and then close the door and then speak to the Father in secret. Because he hears when you listen, when you pray in secret. It's not the time that you go into the midst of the church, waving hands as we do at times. But this is a time praying like Nehemiah did when he was before the king, and the king asked him, so Nehemiah, you are asking permission to go back home to render some help to your people. When do you intend to go, and for how long will you go? The Bible says Nehemiah prayed and then spoke to the king. This is a time you meditate in your own head. God, what am I putting myself into? How faithful is this person? How can I also avail myself for the friendship that she or he needs or is asking for? You ask for God's wisdom.
Reverend,
Hello.
because of time,
Good.
do you mind if I ask you one question?
Please do.
And then,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so you mentioned that David and Jonathan had a covenant.
Yep.
Does it mean that we are also in covenant with anyone we call a friend, or we have to purposefully make that covenant with them?
Well, making a covenant is this is a statement that tells the sort of bond that you make by word. So this doesn't mean they had a sacrifice or any form of spiritual dealing with being in covenant, but giving one's word to the next. David spoke to Jonathan in plain truth. Jonathan spoke to David in plain truth, and then they bound themselves together. That was when the friendships began. So that is word of mouth that they used in getting their friendship in place.
Well, thank you very much, Reverend, for your contribution and for making time to be with us today.
You are very welcome. Thank you. You are very welcome. And I am very happy to be with you and glad that I can also be of help. And I promise to avail myself whenever the need arises. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We look forward to having you again.
Thank you.
Folks, that is the end of our discussion for today, and we believe you learned a lot about friendship. Please tune in same time next week, Sunday at 5 p.m. PST, 8 p.m. EST for another discussion. Until then, stay blessed.
The Youth Corner. Let's vibe to the rhythm of life. The Youth Corner. Let's vibe to the rhythm of life. Oh, the Youth Corner. Let's vibe to the rhythm of life.